Hi friends, and welcome to another update video. I'm producer Mike Brady. We've got a lot of exciting things to run through today. I'm going to break the update into a few different chapters. First, some organizational changes, and then a business and financial overview, then into something very exciting and new, a new announcement, finally some long-awaited Grand Voyage updates. I just want to give a quick shout out to our Patreon members. You guys are really the beating heart of this project, and your encouragement and support, your feedback, it uplifts us and motivates us every single day. If you want to support the project and get early access to things before anybody else, see some behind the scenes goodies, then head on over to patreon.com/c/Turbine Room Studio to learn more and see what we have to show off. Now let's get straight into some new updates. First of all, there's been a big change you'll probably notice right off the bat. The channel has been rebranded from Grand Voyage to Turbine Room Studio. Turbine Room is the official name of the dev team making Grand Voyage. I chose the name because it sounded pretty cool, to be honest with you. It was a bit of a nod to the hard-working engineers who made the great ships work around the clock. Our dev team is a bit like that. Turbine Room currently has about 20 full-time contributors, mostly artists, with a collection of third-party collaborators and freelancers to boot. It's a pretty big team, and it's separate from the other team which makes videos for our YouTube channels, so they definitely deserve their own name, and we have big plans for Turbine Room. The relationship between the brand names is like this. Seabank Digital Productions is the main business. In there are the three channels we run: Ocean Liner Designs, Airliner Designs, and Warship Designs. And then alongside comes Turbine Room. The studio is fully remote and dedicated purely to making virtual experiences like Grand Voyage. It's a small organizational change that formalizes things and puts us one step closer to releasing a polished and professional product. When it goes live on Steam, Grand Voyage will show Turbine Room Studio as the developer and Seabank Digital Productions as the publisher. Now, having a dedicated developer team name is also useful for any situations where, like, say for example, we wanted to develop any other projects alongside Grand Voyage. Now, for the first time ever in one of these update videos, we're actually going to talk pretty frankly about the business side of things and some of the financial aspects of what it's actually taken to make a game like Grand Voyage. Now, ultimately, when it comes down to it, creating a video game is really guided by the economics. It's not unlike actually how they used to plan and build ocean liners back in the day. It all came down to a simple formula. So for example, you had to make a ship big enough to carry enough passengers, to actually pay for the huge amounts of fuel it would take to get the ship maintaining that expected weekly scheduled service. It's like that. It's why most shipping lines actually ended up with 3 or 4 more ships on the same routes, and it's why Cunard Line eventually realized it was more economic to build 2 massive sister ships to do the same job. It's all numbers, so let me explain how this applies to Grand Voyage. A few years ago, a couple of members of the team and myself were part of another project that we felt took advantage of us and failed to pay for any of the work. Now, this is obviously not okay, especially now when AI is taking over creative jobs left and right. It's more important than ever to pay artists for their work. Now, we've endeavored to do just that, but this is where the economic formula comes into play. See, making games like Grand Voyage is really difficult and extremely detailed. It's a delicate balance because we could cobble together some 3D models, put them in Unreal Engine, but the game would probably bomb because the standard of quality wouldn't really be that high, or there wouldn't be enough to do in the game. So to up the standard of quality, we've engaged the artists that we have and paid them for their work as they go. Now, this means production costs rise steadily, and it impacts what Grand Voyage kind of even should be at all. So let me give you an example. Here's a chart showing the costs for production over the last 12 months. Now, I've removed the actual stats, but I can tell you it's a 6-figure number. Now, our incredibly generous and patient patrons have contributed this much. It's made a huge difference because it really does ease the burden of production. But as you can see, it's a lot for us to undertake. In order for the game to recoup this kind of cost, and in order for us to make sure it is even possible to keep making DLC ships for it into the future, I've actually kind of had to rethink what Grand Voyage should be. The fact is, a more expensive game needs to sell more copies to make up for its costs. Grand Voyage is still a little ways off making money for itself. So just how sustainable is it for us to keep this up? How do you ensure your game sells enough copies to pay for itself? Well, you put more stuff in that people might want to play with. Originally, Grand Voyage was imagined as like a kind of pretty walking simulator with environments, weather, and some limited features. But as costs have mounted, we've needed to put more and more in there to make it appealing to a broader audience. You can see why some indie games can fall into a never-ending cycle here. The more it costs, the more money they have to make, it ends up costing more, so on and so on. We've had to learn a heck of a lot producing this game the last year and a half, and we're learning all the time still. We really appreciate you guys supporting us, and for those who pay for Patreon membership, almost everything we decide has you guys in mind. So what does all that mean for Grand Voyage? Well, a couple of things. First of all, the rough aim goal for releasing in the summer of 2025 is unfortunately not realistic. I'll go into more detail on the actual progress of the game in the 4th chapter of this video, but suffice it to say we still have more to do. I can say the asset creation for launch, all of the art, the texturing, the 3D models, it's mostly completed. Now we turn to an in-depth programming stage where we actually build the game's structure. In the past, people have complained that I've even called it a game at all, because to them it seemed like there was no objective or point. Now that might have been true once, but it's not true anymore. To make Grand Voyage more appealing to a broader audience, I've reconsidered just what the game should include. We need to make something that's realistically within our abilities as an indie team, that won't take us ages to make, but also something that a wider group of people would want to play, and that has replay value to it as well. So, Grand Voyage will give you the experience of what it was like taking a voyage, one of those amazing machines. You'll be able to board your ship and complete simple tasks along the way, but then once on board, the voyage will play out with a day-night cycle. You'll have 4, 5, 6 or more in-game days to actually explore the ship, play mini-games, earn collectibles, and do things. At the end, you'll disembark the ship and see just how well you did on board, with a summary of your achievements and some scores. You'll still be able to do all the free explore stuff and see the ships in dry dock, but the at-sea voyage mode of the game will be an immersive, kind of sandbox experience that will be pretty fun, simulating the excitement of boarding, the enjoyment to be had on days at sea, and the frantic rush to actually get off the thing at the other end and get to your destination. It's a simple premise, definitely achievable by our team, and it gives you something to do on board beyond just walking around. Now, some of the mini-games included, like card games, poker, blackjack, we've already begun implementing these. There'll be plenty for you to do on board beyond just taking in the sights. It won't be plot-driven, storylines, talking NPCs and quests. They're all beyond our scope, and I don't want to fall into the feature creep cycle too much. But Grand Voyage is going to be way more than a walking simulator. It's just going to take us a little bit of time to program it. So when will Grand Voyage release? Well, I don't want to keep kicking the can down the road. Giving you a time frame at this point when we're still building the experience feels a bit disingenuous. And you guys have given us so much goodwill that we don't want to burn it up by overpromising again and again. So we're just going to keep cracking on with it for the time being, keep you guys updated regularly. But now, with the addition of another experienced game dev to our team, we have a group of well-experienced game makers who are very keen and capable of putting something that's actually out for release. And we actually have some proof for you. So this brings me to the 3rd chapter, and probably our biggest and most exciting announcement. Now, I know that some of you will probably be feeling a little disappointed that Grand Voyage is taking its time, and we're still working away at it, and I get that. We really wanted to put something in your hands that will give you a bit of the Grand Voyage feel. Now, back when we first thought up Grand Voyage, it was a simple kind of walking and exploration experience where the plan had been to put 3D models from the ships that we used in our videos over at Ocean Liner Designs into the Unreal Engine so you could walk around them. Well, it's grown a bit beyond that, of course, but so many of you have left comments saying you'd enjoy something like that it was impossible not to listen to you. We're excited and quite proud to announce that we've been secretly developing an experience alongside Grand Voyage. I'd like to introduce you to Ship Explorer. Ship Explorer is essentially what we'd thought Grand Voyage would be back in late 2023 when we first announced it. It's a fun way to explore famous ships from history that we've covered over on the YouTube channel. And thankfully, because of all the lessons we've learned developing Grand Voyage, as well as the brilliant abilities of our dev team and some new team members, Ship Explorer has come together pretty quickly. A perfect way for our dev team to focus their efforts while the art team has been finishing their work on Grand Voyage. Ship Explorer is launching with 2 ships already finished, the SS United States and the SS Morro Castle. You can explore the ships, which are littered with information boxes and voice lines recorded by yours truly that explain how the ship's equipment worked, and you can interact with special items and features, like the ship's horns. I promise you that never gets old. And each ship has at least one special level aimed at teaching a particular part of its history in an immersive way. For the SS United States, it's a dry dock level, where you can get up close and personal with the ship's bulbous bow and her brilliant propellers. For the Morro Castle, it's a fire level, where you can learn all about the ship's final voyage by actually walking around it. Ship Explorer will have a steady stream of DLC ships coming for it. In fact, the first one's nearly finished, the battleship Bismarck. Now you can walk around this legendary warship and see it from some very interesting new angles. She even has a pretty special feature as well. Bismarck will be free to anybody who's purchased the game when it releases, but most DLC ships will be paid. The next DLC ship is one we've featured many times on the channel before and have all come to know and love. Lusitania will be making her digital debut on Ship Explorer as the first paid DLC ship to launch after Bismarck. We can't wait to show you around this magnificent Atlantic Greyhound. The base game will be $20 with a 10% discount at launch, and future DLCs like Lusitania will be $10. You can build your fleet and access them all in one place on the main menu, and once you've got your ships, if ever we add new features or things to them, you'll of course get those features included for free. Ship Explorer and Grand Voyage are trying to do different things. Ship Explorer is a companion experience specifically to the Ocean Liner Designs channel. In fact, it feels a lot more like an interactive Ocean Liner Designs video, especially with my voice. Most of the ships we feature on the channel in future will find their way into the game eventually, or at least that's the plan. The aim is to explore, learn, and get up close and personal with your favourite vessels, but Grand Voyage, on the other hand, is different. It's closer to a traditional game, with a simple objective. The voyage itself becomes like a kind of sandbox level for you to play mini-games and do things in your own time. Of course, you can learn and explore the ships, but the focus is on the experience of the voyage itself, the fun to be had travelling in the golden age. But when is Ship Explorer coming out? Well, we're glad to say you won't have to wait long. We're very happy to announce that Ship Explorer is launching in July 2025. That's just next month. And that as of the time of posting this video, the trailers for the game itself, the United States, the Morro Castle, and the Bismarck have all gone live on this channel, so go and have a look. The website for Ship Explorer, shipexplorergame.com, has also just gone live just then. I pressed the button. So feel free to go and check it out for some more screenshots and visual goodies. We're just waiting for Steam to okay our Steam page, so you'll be able to wishlist it within the next day or two and be alerted the moment it launches. But the most exciting part of all of this is that we are very happy to offer Ship Explorer for free to our paying Grand Voyage patrons. You guys have done a lot to support us along this journey, so we'll be issuing Steam codes when the game launches to paid patrons who have supported us. Tourist Class Voyage level patrons and above, who have been members of the Patreon for more than 3 months, will get a free copy. Grand Voyager level patrons, and anybody who spent a reasonable amount supporting us as well, will be getting early access to Ship Explorer before it releases publicly, and Grand Voyage patrons will also receive each DLC ship for free when they're ready to be released. It's our way of saying thank you so much for all of your kind support, your feedback, and your enthusiasm the last year and a half. We'll continue to support and develop Ship Explorer alongside Grand Voyage into the future. In fact, Ship Explorer has helped us a lot because we've been able to test some of the features we want to include in Grand Voyage, and it's also been invaluable for us to learn what goes into actually publishing a game and integrating it with Steam. Now, aside from that, it means we'll be able to even include and give you the opportunity to explore some ships that we wouldn't have otherwise considered for Grand Voyage. In the coming week, we'll release some more information on Ship Explorer, as well as some gameplay, and we hope you're as excited about it as we are. So, what's new with Grand Voyage? Well, a lot actually. We've been very busy finishing off the main art assets for the base game, and even started in some places on our first DLC ship. Let's dive in. Laconia is a ship we've all fallen in love with while we've been working on it. The interiors are unique and fascinating, we can't wait to show them off in detail. But our team did hit a snag in the last few months with the exterior, as well as that of the Empress of Ireland. So, simply put, they'd been made in SketchUp, which is quite a difficult program to integrate with Unreal Engine. It was giving us some issues which Matt had done his best to rectify, but performance was really bad because it was just chewing up heaps of memory, and worst of all, it was impossible to break up into sections, so that when computers were actually playing the game, they had to load the entire ship all the time. Now, I have to give a huge shout out to our original modeler for these, Lucas. He had such an incredible eye for detail. He made these models for use in videos on the Oceanliner Designs channel. They'd never been intended for use in a video game. They're very different things. They just weren't game ready, but Lucas gave us an incredible foundation to build upon. Our modelers, Matteo and Vicente, have been reworking Lucas's exterior model so that they're game ready and adding even more details where they can. I'm happy to say that the work is completely done for Laconia, and her exterior is now ready for launch. And it also happens to be very, very beautiful. We've learned some great things about the ship along the way. I'll put some screenshots up now showing before and after. Matteo put a lot of time and effort into figuring out how the ship's gravity davits especially worked. So now, when the ship's fire level is loaded, you'll actually see how the boat's lowered and launched quite accurately. In fact, the teeth for the gears of the Welland davits even mesh together. It's all very convincing. We didn't just remake things for fun, we're now getting a huge performance boost, and Grand Voyage is running smoother than ever. I'll upload some more and longer footage walking around the ship on Patreon for our backers, but suffice it to say, the combined efforts of Lucas, Matteo, and Vicente have created something very special indeed. Well done. The Empress of Ireland is getting the same treatment, with Phil and Vicente working to get her game ready before Matteo adds even more detail to her. The detail does actually quite a lot to trick you into thinking you're walking around a real-life ship, but most importantly of all, it means the reworked exteriors will run very, very well and ease the frame rate. Before this work was done, the performance wasn't really great. We knew we had a lot of optimization to do, so this has helped us immensely, and it's added more and more details to boot. We always love that. Laconia's interiors have got a lot of love as well. Since our last update video in August, we've finished the ship's cabin suites. Each was named after a different island or region of Greece, like Santorini, Milos, and Paros. The style is very, very 60s, but these were some of actually the best equipped staterooms on the ship, with their own bathrooms and magnificent balcony views, a rarity indeed for the 1960s. All the drawers and cupboards open, so you can be sure we'll be filling all 4 of those suites with plenty of goodies for you to discover. Last time we showed you Liam's modelling work on the Laconia room, and it looked like this. Well, thanks to the combined efforts of Robin, our research lead, and Joaquin, a new texture artist, we can now see the room again in vibrant, living colour, and it is glorious. The Laconia room had once been the old Johann van Oldenbarneveldt's music salon for first class, a towering lounge with an impressive laundry list of colours, patterns, materials, and textures. Now, Robin and Joaquin have managed to make sense of it all, referring to period descriptions of what the black and white photos are showing. The results are stunning, from the marble flooring to the varnished timber walls, beaten copper ceiling, golden decorative accents, frosted lamps and stained glass windows, and that gorgeous green marble accent above. The Laconia room is a very special place. Just below it sits the hairdressing salon. Now, this is where the fire aboard the ship actually started. Unfortunately, references for this space are very limited, and only one picture, back when the ship was a Dutch liner, has ever surfaced. So we decided to have a little bit of fun with it. The layout is based on the plans, but the colour scheme we took inspiration from, both from tiled patterns and colours from elsewhere on the ship, like the gymnasium, and from other period salons of the 1960s. Andrew did a great job bringing the space to life, and it's a fun, gaudy place to visit to go get your hair chopped before dinner. But to get to the salon, you'll have to descend the ship's main staircase. And here again, Joaquin and Robin have done excellent work texturing the beautiful carved wood stairs that Vicente made. The floors are marble. In fact, there's marble on the walls too in places. The whole ship was absolutely lined with the stuff. The dining saloon's coming along well too. That room was even more crazy with its decorative choices, with everything from hippo lights to fish and crab motifs. We can't wait to show that one off in more detail soon. It's become one of our favourites. So, Laconia's interiors are nearing total completion. This is a chart showing you just how much of the ship's inside is now explorable, with orange showing which spaces we're still working on. Now, the job is to fill it with props and goodies. And for that, Daniel, one of our new 3D modelers and texture artists, has been hard at work recreating all the props to fill the ship. He's done especially well with the crockery. It was simple stuff showing Greek Lion's emblem, Poseidon's trident, which was also affixed to the ship's funnels as well. But all of this beautiful work will combine to turn the ship into a living, breathing thing. Laconia isn't the only ship that's had some work put into her. Tino Thos, our very talented modeler of airships, has done some amazing stuff with the R101. Many of the main passenger spaces are finished, including the main lounge here with its fine, light decorative panels, and that incredible balcony view where you could stand gazing down at creation or sit reading in a deck chair. The experience on R101 is like nothing else. It's quite surreal. But R101 is lagging a bit behind our other ships. We still have to make the dining saloon, the cabins, and some of the crew spaces. So Vicente has put his hand up to help Tino in finishing off this massive British airship, and we look forward to seeing what the pair come up with. The Empress of Ireland has had some major updates too. She's still awaiting a finished exterior rework, but her inside's nearing completion. Liam 3D modelled a dazzling array of first-class suites on the promenade deck. These were some of the finest aboard the ship. Now, every cabin on that deck forward of the #1 funnel is in-game and textured by Sylvie with Robin's guidance. Each is a different colour. In-game, you'll be able to select a cabin for your voyage and claim it as your own. Outside is the main grand staircase, a gorgeous space with a beautiful skylight above it. You can see the amount of effort Sylvie and Robin have put in to bringing it all to life with their texture work. Way further aft at the stern sits the second-class smoking room, a charming wood-panelled space in one of our favourite parts of the ship below the poop deck. Here, you'll be able to play card games like blackjack or poker, with a gramophone nearby playing all the biggest hits of 1912 through 1914 like a kind of jukebox. It's topped with a beautiful skylight. It was designed to let light in and all that cigar and cigarette smoke out. When it's put in-game, the floors will be littered with spittoons and maybe a couple of stains from people with poor aim. Down below in the engine room, things have made some serious progress. Ethan, Grand Voyage's very own engineer, has worked to animate the ship's reversing engines, so now they work basically like the real thing. It's very impressive stuff, to be sure, but he's also been building the engine room itself, with all its pumps, the towering reciprocating engines themselves, and the dynamos that powered the ship's lighting. It's an awesome sight to see with that towering skylight high above for ventilation. In-game, players will be able to visit the engine room on tours and see the huge machines turning all around them. Another important space for the crew that we've included is the Empress of Ireland's wireless jack. Now this sits right behind the aft funnel, and it was where Ronald Ferguson fired off his distress signal when the ship was hit by the collier Storstad. Liam used references from the Empress of Britain, the ship's sister, as well as other liners of the time to complete the 3D modelling of the room. We've put it in place, but it's missing the textures that will finish the compartment, and that will be our next job. Like Laconia, the Empress of Ireland would be incomplete without all the props that bring it to life as a functioning ship. And Daniel has made some beautiful progress on all the magnificent, ornate crockery that will fill the dining saloon in the first-class cafe. This pattern in particular is quite special to me because I actually have a small fragment of it recovered from the wreck, which Daniel actually used as a reference for his own work. Now, there were a few different styles of crockery in the Empress's first class, including that floral pattern I mentioned by Minton's called Fontenay. He's working on a complete set of the stuff, but he's also made probably the most beautiful hero asset of the entire game. This ornate silver box. It was used to house an ivory hammer, equally as decorative, used ceremonially for the launching of the ship. These were kept by the builders or donated to important institutions, but we've put the Empress's box and hammer on display in the most beautiful room aboard the ship, the music room, as if the Canadian Pacific Line had put it on display for a voyage for the benefit of passengers. It's absolutely eye-boggling in its detail, with specific references to Canada and Ireland, and Daniel put a lot of effort into recreating it almost exactly. We're sure you'll have some fun looking at it and figuring out what all the different glyphs and scenes actually mean. Our ports have been getting some attention as well. Now, the general layout has been done for some time, but they've been missing a couple of key details. For Liverpool, that included the customs and baggage sheds and the brick station house over the top of Princess Parade. As part of the Empress of Ireland experience, players will need to board the ship. So to do that, you'll need to explore the dockside, walk down Princess Parade and into the baggage hall, past customs, and then walk down one of the main gangways into this ticket office on the floating landing stage. Here, you'll be able to set some particulars for your voyage before emerging onto the pier and boarding your ship. It's all very exciting, and with the completion of this space, Liverpool is just about done. Southampton has got its very own hero asset as well. As part of that experience, you'll start aboard a boat train taking you from Waterloo Station to Southampton docks. Stepping off your train car, you'll need to board the ship. But we needed to make an accurate locomotive to suit the scene, so Andrew has built us the exact locomotive that completed the journey that day back in December 1963, a West Country class named Exmoor, numbered 34022. Now this beauty will be shunting alongside the ship on the pier, but Andrew's also made some accurate rolling stock from the period as well. No secret of the fact we're mainly ocean liner people here at Turbine Room Studio, but we knew if we didn't make accurate trains, we'd upset our train-loving friends, so this one's for all you anoraks out there. While most of the team has been working on those main assets for the launch release, we've also had some other team members work on our first DLC ship. Now we've talked a bit about DLC ships in the past, and even began working on a few of them, but the ones we'd initially picked, including Aquitania and Andrea Doria, are big, complex, monstrous things that will take us a lot of time. So I decided to change tack a bit. We announced at the end of last year that we'd been working on Carpathia, Titanic's rescue ship, and a legend in ocean liner fandom. Matteo has made this incredibly detailed exterior model of the ship, complete with hull plates and the tiniest of rigging details. The Carpathia is a fascinating ship, and one of a series of relatively unremarkable cargo passenger vessels that went on to do extraordinary things. It also makes financial sense for us to work on this ship first. It's not massive, we have experience making similar spaces on the Empress of Ireland, but the one hitch was that there was hardly any plans for her available to us. It presented some major challenges, so I went off to Liverpool to visit the archives of the Merseyside Maritime Museum. The archive staff were extremely generous and gave me access to the whole host of original plans, some dating back to 1899, of Carpathia and some of her sisters. It was such a unique and moving opportunity, and the plans, which I photographed, were of immense use for us when recreating the interiors of the ship, for which there are very few photographs. Now we're excited to show you these first glimpses inside Carpathia for Grand Voyage. The dining saloon for first class, a fairly simple affair when compared with other liners like Lusitania or Titanic, but an elegant one regardless. Take a note of that extreme shear, how much the deck sweeps up along the length of the ship, and the camber where it sags downward across its width. Carpathia had some of the most extreme shear and camber we've ever seen, something Phil has been working brilliantly with the help of Matteo and Robin to account for. It's not easy. Every single piece of paneling and furniture has got to follow the curve of the ship's deck in two directions, presenting a real challenge for any 3D modelers. Well, just further aft from there is the ship's main staircase, and we're glad to be able to show you an early work-in-progress render of that space too. Here, the camber is very pronounced, and you can see how it kind of sags off on the sides. This has been made from scratch by our new team member, Jordan, who's doing an incredible job bringing the interiors of the ship to life. Next time, we'll be able to show you more inside Carpathia and tell you all about the main rooms we intend to include. But because she's not very big, we're confident we'll be able to recreate many of the main interior spaces for you to enjoy. So that is everything we've been working on. It's been a big few months, but we're very excited to see where the project is going. We can't wait to get you copies of Ship Explorer. Please go ahead and check us out at shipexplorergame.com. If you want to support our team and our work, get early access, behind the scenes stuff, early access to the DLCs for Ship Explorer, please go ahead and support our work over on Patreon. We'd love to have you join the crew, and we really appreciate your support. Until then, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again very soon.